his YouTube beginnings and first collaborations, and Charles never mentioned my name, not even once. I'm gonna be honest with you. I discovered him, I made him, and I saw him grow on YouTube like he was my child. It's like mentoring someone for years, only for them to speed run forgetting you. Even the comment section noticed it. Half were shocked he didn't mention me, and the other half were bots promoting crypto scams. I was heartbroken. That interview hit me harder than 10 copyright strikes. But then there is the other bassist, Danny Sepko, also known as Danny 5'4". He's the complete opposite of Charles. He never stops talking about me, every single week. He is in my notifications like an unpaid parking ticket. I once joked I was gonna sue him, and you know when you say something is a joke, but deep down you meant it with your whole soul? Yeah. That this man's ego has its own gravitational field. He has been calling some of my videos fake. I made a video where I play bass with a clothespin. Not even 24 hours later, he posted a response saying I faked it.
And fake a video. Right, Davy boy?
Obviously, he is the noob. He used the wrong peg. As you can see, his tool was way too flaccid, so before I could even respond, he got owned in his own comment section. He literally got pegged by his audience. He tried to backpedal after that, but the damage was done. His reputation dropped faster than my IQ when I'm scrolling Twitter. Calling someone fake without proof, that's some real toxic behavior. And because I'm an honest person, I warned both of them that I was gonna make this video against them. And they both sent me a video message begging me to not post this video. I'm gonna show you what they said. Check this out. But then she disappeared. I received a lot of comments
Right, enough
from
of this
people
Berkeley
worried
crap.
about
Give
her.
it some bollocks!
About our relationship. A lot of people also thought she stopped being my girlfriend. Yeah, right. She is not my girlfriend anymore. Because now she is my wife. Check. Hey, 3 months ago, I promised you a Q&A with my wife. If this video gets 100,000 likes, why? And this is the time. But wait. She is not here. I need your help. Slap like now to make my wife appear. Epic. Anything you want to say?
Hi.
Let's see what you guys ask us. Is Davey forcing you to make this video?
He did that first.
Why? What is your favorite video game?
You play Kali
We used to play together, but I stopped. Do you play bass together? We stopped playing bass together. But if this video gets
What just happened wasn't a battle,
likes,
it was a bassist threesome,
The future
and it's
of
gonna
our
haunt me
relationship
and
depends
you
on
for the
you.
rest
Where
of
do
our
you
lives.
We live in
We live in Italy and Taiwan. We already told you that. Strong. Any plans for starting a family?
we are
I called
already
this
a
out a
family.
while ago,
Yeah,
and I'm glad that some people are starting to realize this. But basically, all of these protests, if you guys notice this, that it's just full of a bunch of old retards. Have y'all seen this before? Protests full of old retards.
Hi folks, sorry for the strange setup, but I'm obviously travelling at the moment. Sorry for the echo in here. It's not my choice, and there's nothing I can do about it. But I wanted to talk about the No Kings protests that happened a couple of days in America,
jeez.
because these were just boomer-tastic, and the whole thing seems to have gone off without a hitch and was genuinely quite funny to watch. So we're told by the BBC that millions turned out for the anti-Trump No Kings protest. Now, you may have seen people saying, well, they were using recycled footage from
They should have turned up to vote.
2017, which they probably were. But I suspect these were quite large protests, because this is, as far as I can tell, the hippies of the 60s coming out to whine about things that
these are the hippies that complained about things in the 60s. This is their one final act of defiance. This is the final gift that they give to us. Complaining in the streets about Donald Trump. That's it.
Folks simply don't really care about
their last
them
dance,
and their radicalized grandchildren.
Well, literally, they're
are the only people who care about this.
Yes,
and so this genuinely amused me. But as the BBC says, huge crowds took part in the No Kings protests against President Donald Trump's policies in cities in the U.S. On Saturday, including New York, Washington D.C., Chicago, Miami, and Los Angeles.
No, this problem's not going to exist. It won't exist in 10 years because they all be dead, right? I mean, like just in 10, 15 years, they're going to be dead. So this is going to go away. But the problem is that my generation, the millennials, are going to grow up and be as insufferable and annoying as the boomers. So the millennials will replace the boomers in being this insufferable, annoying group of people. It's going to happen.
So yeah, major left-wing strongholds. Duh. Thousands packed New York City's iconic Times Square and streets all around, with people holding signs with slogans like "Democracy, not monarchy," and "The Constitution is not optional." But what are you talking about? Trump is constantly engaged in a legal back and forth with the judges in the United States who are contesting his abilities as weighed up by the Constitution. In fact, some might say it's becoming a bit of a problem because it is presenting legal challenges where there ought not to be legal challenges. And in fact, many of the things that they're complaining about, such as the overturning of Roe versus Wade, were not Trump's decision. They were the Supreme Court decision.
Right.
A body that is outside of his power and constantly
Well, I mean,
makes
to be fair, I mean, the Trump did appoint the people that made that decision. I mean, so like it's partially true, it's partially not true. I think the reason why, the big reason why I think that it's a lot of old people is because old people still believe mainstream media. Like a lot of normal people have moved past mainstream media, but old people, you've got to remember that a lot of scams and things like that, they intentionally target old people because they're dumb. They're dumb. They don't understand technology. They don't understand the current world. They're 70 years old. They understood things 50 years ago. That was a long time ago. Now they don't get it. And so they get scammed constantly. That's just how it is. And so they're sitting there, and they're the ones that are keeping mainstream media on life support. And when they're gone, mainstream media goes away too. Because they're not bringing in a new audience of people. They're just doubling down on farming boomers. They lived in World War II in Nazi times? No, they did not. They lived after that. The baby boom was after World War II. None of these people lived through World War II. Absolutely not.
Decisions against him, in fact.
They lived in one of the most economically prosperous times in the entire history of humankind, and especially inside of America.
So this whole thing is just really funny because nobody is saying that Trump is a king other than a very, very, very marginal fringe on the right.
Well, just to make them upset.
I don't know
whether the reason why.
This is something that's self-evident from the name or something.
Yeah.
But the Republican Party is not a party of monarchy, actually. And Donald Trump is just showing that you can be an effective right-wing or Republican executor and not a king. And this would be even more silly if Donald Trump was acting beyond his own democratic remit. But I don't know whether you remember, he won the House, the Senate, the popular vote, and the presidency.
Let's protest because we lost the vote. Yeah, too bad, huh?
The last election. So to argue that somehow Trump doesn't have a democratic remit for all of this would require you to explain why winning all those votes didn't matter.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's return to the BBC article, because like I said,
It's embarrassing.
this is funny. This is just boom. Delusion. Several U.S. states had
And
mobilized the national...
boomers read the BBC. Like, young people don't read this garbage, but these old people do, and they believe anything that they see on social media. They're the ones that are typing amen whenever Jesus is transformed into a shrimp and he saved somebody's life from getting hit by a car.
National Guard.
That's
but
them.
organizers said the events, which drew nearly 7 million people, were peaceful. I'm sure they were peaceful.
Yeah,
Old
one
people
like
tend
equals
to
one
be
pray.
peaceful.
This is what they do.
Old people tend not to be a violent demographic. And a bunch of old boomers standing around with their stupid signs saying no kings or we don't want this.
Yeah.
Well, too bad. Everyone else voted for it. This is what you get.
Yep.
Trump isn't fabricating powers out of nothing.
I think that there's also like a much larger generational problem where a lot of the people in the baby boomer like kind of demographic are not really relinquishing power and giving it up to the next generation. And I think that that's created a lot of resentment for young people, because as young people want to move up inside of the workplace and take a certain amount of control of society because they've been part of it for a long enough period of time, they're not really given the ability to do that. And I think that makes a lot of them very angry. It makes them very frustrated and angry.
And there are genuine problems in these Democrat-run cities
resentment for it.
that need solution.
Even and it goes down to something as simple as like how many times have you heard, young people complaining about boomers buying houses for like $20,000 and then telling you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go into the company that you want to work for and hand the manager your resume in person, right? Like it's just people that are giving advice for something that didn't work 20 years ago.
So why shouldn't Trump be able to do the things that he's doing?
Yeah.
And the answer is just literally, we don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all
They
it
don't want
boils down to. We don't like it because
That's
we're
right.
liberal boomers from the 1960s. And as far as we're concerned, history ended 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't caught up to the fact that actually things are still going. In an interview with Fox News, set to air on Sunday, Trump appeared to address the rallies. A king? This is not an
Yep.
act. They're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king. Yeah, I imagine that he thinks that if he was a king, he wouldn't have so much institutional resistance. Because, I mean, take, for example, the example of Britain. We've got a long and
Do we
complex
should have
history.
age maximums for political jobs? No, I don't think we should have age maximums. Like, you don't have to have everything mandated, but I think that you do have a cultural problem when certain things don't happen. Like, and the problem is that you can't solve everything with a law. There's a lot of things that you can solve with laws, but you can't solve everything.
With monarchy and the legal and political
It's my
institutions of the
outlook on it.
country. But technically, it's the Crown Courts. Technically, it's the Royal Navy, the Royal Army, the Royal Air Force.
Yeah.
Technically, it is the King in Parliament that sits and governs over us. So technically, if you're a king, all authority actually flows from the king.
Exactly.
And theoretically, the king is, as the source of authority of the institutions of the country, can override them if he wishes. Now, of course, there's a long conversation and series of arguments to be made about that, because, of course, we in Britain have a complex history with that. But the point being, there's just nothing about Trump that screams king, actually. To be honest
they're
with
just mad that he's doing things that they don't like. It's really just that simple. And they want to go out there. And the thing is, that's the reason why they call it fascist. They say he's being a king or something like a dictator. The reason why is because that is a way that they can radicalize people against them. It's not about whether it's true or not. It's about whether it will upset people into being afraid of him and not liking him. That's the focus.
he more screams.
That's what it's
sort
about.
of, just European
Yeah, a king went to
strongman,
court. Exactly.
Kind of like Orban or someone like that. Again, not a dictator, not a king. Someone who's elected, been out of office, and elected again. In fact, Trump's arc is kind of mirroring Orban's quite weirdly in this way. Just a strong,
They'll do that to any
populist,
opponent. Yeah,
nativist
exactly.
politician. Just a
Clickbait
president,
engagement.
obviously. So this hysteria just looks absurd. Like, from outside of America, these people seem bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Beth Zaslov, a freelance writer and editor, can you believe it, said she had joined the New York protest because she feels outraged and distressed at a move toward
Every single person, except for probably this person that's dyed their hair, has gray hair. Gray hair, gray hair, gray hair, gray hair, gray hair, gray hair, probably dyed hair. This is it.
towards fascism and authoritarian government happening under the Trump administration. I care a lot about New York City. It gives me hope to be out here with many other people. Well, I mean, what's your plan? You got another, 3 years of Donald Trump? That's just him going to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. Thank you, Miss Zaslov. And I'm going to guess that it's Miss. But again, look at it. It's all of the greybeards, the liberal greybeards, who have come out and been like, oh no, wait, this wasn't the America I expected in the 1960s. I was listening to John Lennon's Imagine. Fuck John Lennon's Imagine. Fuck your opinions on it. Massimo Mascoli, a 68-year-old retired engineer and resident of New Jersey who grew up in Italy.
Bro, they're going to be busting retirement homes out to these protests just so they can fuck up our lives a little bit longer. Just homes out to these protests.
Italy.
Bro, they're going to be busting retirement homes out to these protests just so they can fuck up our lives a little bit longer. Just so they can fuck it up and make it worse for like 3 more years.
Said he was protesting because he was concerned the US was following the same path that his home country did in the last century. Trump is way more effective than Mussolini. Although I bet the trains probably don't run on time. He said he was worried about the Trump administration's immigration crackdown and healthcare cuts for millions of Americans.
Why?
You know, the real problem with Mussolini. Too many immigrants. We're gonna seal the borders and kick them all out. Yeah, that was the problem with Mussolini.
With NGOs being shut down, they can't afford to bus them out? Yeah, I guess so, right?
We cannot count on the
Like, that's the whole reason why they reinterpret amendments all the time. Like, the entire idea that the amendments, the Constitution was written, made in order to have amendments and be a living document. Like, that's the whole reason why they
Obviously,
there's nothing wrong with writing a new constitution. That's why you have amendments. The Constitution was written, made in order to have amendments and be a living document. Like, that's the whole reason why they reinterpret amendments all the time. Like, the entire idea that this is some sort of, like, stated thing. Like, for example, there are tons of things that, like, a random person can't have that are, like, military things that people can't have. So, like, there's limitations to the First Amendment. There's limitations to the Second Amendment. There's limitations almost to everything. And so, like, for guns, exactly. For voting, exactly. Like, there's a million things that different things apply to. So in my opinion, I think this is, like, such bad polling because, like, it's such a individually based issue.
25% of boomers support that. 27% of the old Gen Xers. 40% of the young Gen Xers.
Yeah,
47% of the millennials. But 54%.
Somebody says, am I against anchor babies? Absolutely. I'd deport every single one of them.
4% of Zoomers are like, yeah, no, fuck the Constitution. Let's just write a new one that reflects our diversity as a people. Boomers, you are out. It's over for you. Your beloved democracy that you'll seek to protect so much, the Constitution, the Republic, all of those things that you're so concerned about, it genuinely is, as Rousseau put, the real Constitution is inscribed on the hearts of men. And when your generation goes, the younger generations will not have the fondness for the 20th century America that you have, that you had during your youth, and that will all disappear. Things will change.
Yep, absolutely.
Because, I mean, obviously the boomers, again, 2/3 of them think that the American...
Thought you were against denaturalizing anchor babies? I mean, I'm talking about, like, future ones, right? I mean, obviously, like, if somebody was born in the U.S., like, 20 years ago, they've been a U.S. citizen for, like, 20 years because of the 14th Amendment. Like, applying rules retroactively to people generally is a bad idea. But, like, from my perspective, I would, from now on, no, never. New people. Yeah, exactly.
Founding fathers were heroes. 34% were like heroes and villains, but 1% said villains. Mm-hmm. Same sort of numbers with the older Gen X.
Yes.
The younger Gen X, about 50-50 on heroes, or both heroes and villains. And then the millennials are like, no, more heroes and villains than heroes, with 5% just on villains. And the same sort of thing with the Gen Z. So it's not like the Founding Fathers and the love of them is even something that they have really taken heart. They're like, well...
And this is also something that's important to keep in mind, is that whenever these people try to weaponize, figures like Thomas Jefferson or George Washington, they're not doing it from a place of respect to Thomas Jefferson or George Washington. They don't care about Thomas Jefferson or George Washington. But what they do care about is weaponizing your respect for them in order to achieve their goals. Would you support removing non-citizens from the census? Completely. If you're not a citizen, you shouldn't be counted in the census. And I don't think that, and the reason why is that the census is used in order to determine a certain amount of government representation. So if you allow non-citizens to be part of the census, you create an incentive in order to bring more non-citizens into an area and then increase the voting power of that area. And so you've now created a reward structure around adding the more non-citizens you add, the more power you have over American policy. Does that sound like a good idea? That's retarded. Of course you shouldn't do that.
Back. And you'll remember that the radical fringe of that 5% who think they're just straight up villains will go out and tear down the statues of them, as they did during the 20th.
Never listen to these people about, oh, I care about the Constitution. No, you don't. You care about it when you agree with it.
20 Black Lives Matter riots. It's not like these people haven't been radicalized. And this really is a product.
And also another thing is them, trying to make an argument to authority to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's just 9 fucking geriatrics. I like, Clarence Thomas is an OG, and I think some of the other ones are great too, but at the end of the day, it's 9 fucking geriatrics. they also decided to, you know, like these are people who decided to do Citizens United, right? Like, yeah, no, like you shouldn't look at them as some sort of divine authority. They're just 9 people that made the decision. And also they're completely partial. They're absolutely partial. And if they weren't partial, then all of those people that are saying that the Supreme Court's impartial wouldn't have been mauling because Trump got to appoint 3 justices. It's bullshit.
The sort of boomer liberalism. If you allow it to just keep going and going and going, where it's trying to encompass all of mankind, and it sees all of its own wrongs as primarily the problem rather than things that are outside of its remit, then, well, you get to that point, don't you? And finally, you may have seen this amazing post going around. I posted it myself. A huge thank you to all the No Kings protesters yesterday. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place, but thanks to your tireless efforts, I am still your president. Great job all.
Man.
Unfortunately, that's fake. Like I said, I posted it as well, and I'll take it down after this video.
Sad.
I didn't realize.
He should have said it, though.
Sounded so
That's
much
really
like
funny.
something Donald Trump would say. And frankly, he should have said that. He should have tweeted that out. He should have been like, yeah, no, I'd hate to have a king because I'm the guy in charge, aren't I? I don't want to be replaced.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a fake. But it does probably accurately represent what Trump actually thinks, which is another thing about the sort of fake
ridiculous.
posts of Trump that go around. Yeah, okay, he might not have said it. But if he was inclined to think about the subject, he probably would say that, wouldn't he?
Probably would have said
like,
it.
if you were to ask him, that probably would be his opinion on it. Anyway, it's nice that the boomers got to have a day out of the nursing home, isn't it?
Yeah, anyway, that's what I think the problem is it's the last gasp of relevancy from the boomers in order for them to fuck up society just a little bit longer, in order for them to enable their delusional, self-serving ideals while they live under more wealth and they have experienced more benefits than anybody else in society, and they've made all this money, and somehow they're still talking down to the young people. It's so fucking obnoxious. They're in their death throes. They are. They're in their death throes, and this is a problem that's going to solve itself. And there are a lot of based boomers out there, too. You can't forget that. It's not like they're all bad. They are not all bad. But some of the ones that are out there doing this are just displaced hippies, bored swamp hags, and old retards that should be sitting in a nursing home playing bingo rather than going out and fucking up society. You don't have any stake in it anymore. You're going to be dead soon. Just give it a fucking rest and leave everybody else alone. You know? That's the way I feel about it. That's what I think. So, yes. It's war from the attack on the outside. Fascism is violence from above. Revolution is violence from below. I mean, I think it's just retards, right? I mean, there's not really a lot of violence in a lot of cases. It's just retards. I'll give you guys the video link. You guys give it a like. I like Stargon's videos a lot. I agree with this one very strongly. But, yeah, I definitely 100% do.
Johnny Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail, had a small victory this week in a court case involving Youngman, a Korean streamer. We're going to get on that today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, checking in from Bali, Indonesia, where I'm doing a little workcation, getting away from the hubbub and the drama and all the stuff going on in Thailand, just to have a nice peaceful experience where I can go out here and get some videos done. I will say over the next couple days, I'll be doing more fast facts as my internet connection and the adapter are too far away for streaming. So there's going to be a lot of fast facts coming out the next couple days. Hopefully you enjoy that. I'm rocking my nice tropical shirts this week. So, you know, we're going to be relaxing, making some fast facts. Hopefully you like the fast facts videos. You like this format. You like everything that's going on with the presentation. If you do, make sure you leave a comment below and we will try to get back to you and respond on that. Also, make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok. We now have TikTok at the.legal.mindset. And you can follow me over there. We're doing a lot of shorts. We're doing a lot of other content. So I'm very excited with the team I have to support me now, which are doing an absolutely amazing job. That said, let's get right into the PP. Let's get right into the actual facts of this Somali quote-unquote win. And this definitely is something that needs clarification because there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of information, and not of anybody's fault, but because of some of the communication issues and some of the lack of understanding of the people presenting on this that don't understand what really happened here and how this is. It is a Somali win. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Once again, on the legal mindset, I'm very honest with you. One way or another, I may not like Johnny Somali, but that doesn't mean I'm going to lie about the law and pretend that he didn't come out of this better. So let's talk about what happened in this court case this week. So the next trial is, of course, still October 29th. So Johnny Somali's own trial, his trial, is still on October 29th. That is not changing. The witnesses are not changing. They still have 3 witnesses on the docket: Bong Bong, Youngman, and Hank. Now, because of what happened, Youngman is less relevant. In fact, while he's on the docket, he may just be dismissed. They may just say, okay, we don't need Youngman anymore because of what happened at this trial. Now, this trial of the streamer Youngman happened on October 22nd, 2025. Now, this was attended by the members of the SCT and Atozi. Atozi was there. Shout out to Grandpa Atozi telling me to stop cursing. And that's working out better on YouTube. But there needs to be a clarification because some of the things that were communicated have generated some misunderstanding. So first of all, Ramzi Khalid Ismail Somali was a witness during this trial. Now, this was a trial of Youngman. Now, Youngman faced not just a deep fake because he showed the deep fake of himself and of Hank making out half naked. Once again, it's a deep fake. He showed it on his stream openly, not as an accident. I believe it may have been shown multiple times. So essentially what happened was there was a kind of counters, right? There was, hey, you showed this, I showed this, we both showed this, so we're going to have charges against each other. Now, I actually know Youngman. In fact, I met Youngman. Here's me and Youngman. We did an interview, which I don't think I aired this interview, but I've talked about this. This was one that happened right before Youngman, who's the guy over there in the jacket and the glasses, threw a brick through the courthouse, the very same courthouse that Somali was involved in during the incident involving the Yoon, I don't want to call it, coup or whatever, electoral kerfuffle, right, that was going on in South Korea. He very much was against Yoon, and he went over to the court, threw a brick through the window, and he was arrested for that. So he's in jail. He's currently in jail. Now, Youngman's a very interesting character, and I can say this from having met him. He's very nice in person, and whenever you meet him, he's super nice. But he's sort of got this Jekyll Hyde thing where he'll be super nice with you, but then he'll go out and he'll say and do the exact opposite thing. So while he can be a very nice person, he often is led astray very easily and goes out and does things that are unpredictable and irrational. And, members of the SCT have met with his family, and they've talked with him, and they'll get some footage related to Somali and related to other incidents. And, I feel bad for him because he has a very nice family. Members of the SCT have met his mom, very nice woman. And he seems to have a good side. He just gets led down these bad paths. So he's facing 3 charges of which could put him in behind bars for a very, very long time. So he had a strong interest to not be in jail for the rest of his life and get rid of these charges. Therefore, he's facing 3 charges of which could put him in behind bars for a very, very long time. So he had a strong interest to not be in jail for the rest of his life and get rid of these charges. Therefore, when you look at what happened with this case, you see that he decided to get rid of those charges the way he could. Now, what happened at this trial? So Ramzi, Johnny Somali, was a witness. And one of the most important things for us to remember is Johnny Somali lied a lot as a witness, and the prosecutors took him to task. Now, understand, this was not his trial, so they couldn't punish Ramzi as harshly for lying as a witness, but it's very important and very critical to show he is going to go into his own trial on the 29th, whether that's the last day or not. Remember, the 29th may not be his last day, and it certainly will not be the sentencing day. He will not be sentenced on the 29th. We're going to have a trial in November, December, some other time in the future. So he's not going to be sentenced. So he lied a lot. He pretended to not know his address. This was relevant because one of the things that he was asked was regarding to stalking. because Jungmann was accused of stalking him. So if you are stalked, you need to know where you are stalked, because where are you staying, right? Where's your address? We pretended not to know. Well, how are you going to not know and say you're being stalked? He knows his address. He just doesn't want to say it because of the lie that happened during the court of his own trial. He said he's moved. He said Hank said he moved, right, during an interview with the K-Town Social Club. However, with the court, Ramsey said he hasn't moved. So there's a conflict. Has he moved or hasn't he moved? Was Hank lying or was Johnny lying? Right, whatever. Like, somebody's lying here, right? So he pretended not to know. He also was asked who owned the baton, because a big thing was involving this baton. It was an assault that allegedly happened with Jungmann had the baton and allegedly hit him. But who owned the baton? Well, we all know it's Hank. We have the video to show it's Hank. It's clearly Hank's baton. Hank came out holding it. He was disarmed. And then, Jungmann got the baton. So that was a big lie. So it just shows he's going to get on the stand and lie. And while he could get away with it in this trial, he will not get away with it in his own trial, because he can be punished for that. And he can be, the judge can take that not kindly when it comes to sentencing. So Jungmann and Ramsey did agree to settle. Now, what does this mean? What this